We get this question a lot. How do you make money with Blender? And there are many ways of making money with Blender. You can create products and models. You can work for a studio. You can start your own studio. You can sell online courses like we do. You can create products and add-ons. You can run 3D printing business. You can create product designs. There are many ways of making money with Blender, but doesn't matter what you want to do, there's one thing you need in order to start and continue, and that's a portfolio. And if you do not have a really good portfolio, then you cannot tell people what's the quality of your work. So people are gonna judge you based on the quality of your portfolio. And in this video, what I want to do is I want to show you how easy it is to go from this image, which is a raw render from Blender, to this image in order to attract clients, jobs, attention, following, etc. Okay, let's go. I will be using Photoshop for this, but you can use anything. You can use GIMP, Affinity Photo, whatever software you want, but you do need some kind of a software in order to run a few edits and run a few adjustments to make the image look better. So first of all, what you need is an image, and in order to create an image, you need a model and you need to know how to render it. So you need to know how to create it and how to render it. And if you do not know how to do this, we have a fantastic course for it, which is called the Hard Surface Accelerator, which will teach you the whole process. We will go from the cube to a final image that's going to be ready to be posted on your portfolio. So we're going to talk about the menus, the tools, the UI, but also the workflow for Hard Surface, which means how to create good blockouts, how to detail them, how to texture them, how to render them. There's a massive section, bonus section on principles of good design, in which I'm going to teach you a lot about design, how to add details, where to place them, what is a negative space, how to understand framing, composition, lighting, and all that. So if you're just getting into Blender, or even if you're intermediate, this is a fantastic course. We have thousands of students, either 4,000 or 5,000 at the moment. We have hundreds upon hundreds of testimonials. People love the course because it's a fantastic, really well designed curriculum. We designed this course based on feedback from over 100,000 of students that we taught. So go ahead, click the link in the video description, grab the course and enjoy. Now going back to our video, on the screen you can see two images, right? You can see this one and you can see this one. Now this is a Blender render. I created the model in plasticity, but it doesn't matter where you make it. You can make it in Blender, plasticity, schmasticity, it doesn't matter. The point is that you need to render it. And in order to render it, you need to compose a scene. You need to, add some decent lighting, but you can see that the lighting is really simple. There's only one light in this scene and there's a very simple background. And the model is really nicely cut out from the background. That's really important. It's mistake number one. That's one of the things I'm seeing in a lot of renders, that people create, something really dark on a dark background. So you cannot see the outline of the model. You cannot see the design language really well. And that's really important. So what you want from your render is you want the light to show your model in a good from a good angle with decent shadows. And you also want this model to be cut out from the background visually, so you can clearly see the borders of the model, the edges, so your brain will understand the design language. In addition, you can angle your model differently, so you can duplicate it and angle it, differently, like I did here with this gun, right? So you can see clearly here that we have gone, the side here, but we also see the top, right? So we see the gun from all angles in one image. Then you want to compose it properly. So what you want to do is you want to give your model some room to breathe, which means you want to create this beautiful negative space around your model that will define the design a bit better. So it's going to emphasize and support the design of your model, because you are actually, this is a thing that I'm talking about in one of our courses. It's a fantastic course. By the way, you should get this course as well. It's called Rendering University. If you're really serious about rendering and good imagery, and you should be, this course packs 25 years of my experience as a visual artist, and my specialty is imagery and lighting. I love creating images. I love composing them, composition, camera work, all that. This course is packed with a ton of knowledge, and you will learn how to render stuff really well on a really high level. But the point here is that I'm talking in this course a lot about negative space. There's a whole section on negative space. And negative space is so important because when I see renders from people, in our community or our inner circle in Hard Surface Academy, I can tell that what they do is they compose using the visuals of the model, whereas you're supposed to be composing your image using the negative space. It's kind of like you flip the switch in your head, and instead of looking at the model, you need to look at the space around the model. This is what I learned when I studied Chinese calligraphy. I went to an exhibition once with my master, with a teacher, and we were looking at one work, and we were discussing it, and he said something that completely changed the way I was approaching composition. He said that when you're looking at calligraphy and you're trying to understand its power and the flow and the balance of composition and everything, don't look at the characters, look at the negative white space. And they even have a special phrase for it in Japanese. It's called kuhaku, which is empty white space. That flipped a switch in my head because I then realized how important negative space is and how to understand imagery. So when you understand negative space, you will understand rendering and imagery on a different level, okay? And that's what I'm talking about a lot in Render University. Obviously, the course focuses on much more than this. There's a in-depth discussion about lighting, angles, shadows, types of lights, quality of light. This course is insane. So if you're really serious about rendering, get that course. And you should watch this course or go through it after Accelerator, because Accelerator is going to give you the basics and Render University going to make you a pro. But anyway, I digress. Going back to the image. So we get this really nice negative space here. We got this beautiful flow around the model, nice cutout, but the image is a bit murky. You know what I mean? Like it's missing this kind of a zing, and this is a problem when you're going to post this on your portfolio. It looks bland. It's like a food without seasoning. What you want to do with your images, you want to post process them, and you could technically do it in Blender using Compositor. But it's super cumbersome, you need to use nodes, but you'll never be able to have that much control as you can, for example, in Photoshop with layers. And that's why when I render something, I usually render a few different passes. Like for example, this one is just the guns without the background. And it's really important to have this, because if I'm going to drop this on top here, not only I got different lighting because the background is gone, right? So the light is shining a bit differently on the model, but I also have the cutout, which allows me to select it with control click on in Photoshop, and I can have, a nice selection of my guns, which means, for example, what I can do now, go to adjustments, and I'm gonna go with curves. I can press Ctrl I to invert my mask, and now what I can do, I can actually adjust the background separately. So I can make it brighter or darker. I can change the color. I can go here and drop another curve layer and invert the mask. And then I can change it to, for example, blue. And I can start playing with colors. Do you see what I mean? I got so much control now because of these two layers that I can do anything I want. So in order to fix this image, right, let's just go back. In order to fix this image, what we need first, we need to, brighten up because it's a little bit dull. Yeah, there's no spark, no flavor. So we need to brighten up. So the way you do this, it's really easy. Control J to duplicate the layer so you're gonna have a backup. Go to filter and go to camera raw. Go to camera raw, and what you want to do is you want to go to effects and you want to pump the clarity a little bit. This is a micro contrast which is going to deepen the shadow, but it's going to make everything look more crisp. Now when you're going to do that, you want to then lift the shadows a bit here because you're deepening the shadows with clarity, but you can kind of combat this with lifting the shadows a bit here. And we're gonna also increase the exposure of the entire image because it's a little bit dull. Now we got a bit of a bright spot in here, but we're gonna fix it in a minute. Press OK and you're good to go. And it already looks much better because it looks much brighter and much more, crisp, right? Now, next thing we need to do is we need to fix this corner. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna select with Control the guns here. We're going to go to adjustments and grab curves, Control I to invert the mask. And we're going to grab this handle here and we're going to drop down this background here. And then we're gonna grab a gradient tool And we're gonna go here to blacks and set it to black to transparent. And we're gonna run it from this corner. There we go. And flip it. Hang on a second. We need to flip this around like this. There we go. So we're gonna go from black to transparent. So it's, this is going to remove this effect. You can see on the mask, it's going from black to transparent. It's gonna remove this effect from this corner, right? So what it will do, it will darken the background on the corner, and it's sort of like equalizes the entire background, right? Now the focus is back to the guns. You always have to think where the focus goes. When I'm gonna remove this, the focus goes a bit to the corner, upper corner, because it's brighter, right? You need to think about visual weight. The visual weight is created in multiple ways. One of them is contrast. Okay, so we want to equalize the background so the focus is on the guns. And now since we have curves, we can still adjust it. We can adjust the brightness or darkness of this corner because we have a mask here, so we can easily fine tune it. This is a bit maybe too dark, something like this is fine. More or less equally bright as on the left hand side. Now in this stage, what I would normally do, I would go with a paid filter which is called Pro Contrast from Nik Collection, but if you do not have it, you can still do it with curves. You can grab another layer of curves, click here to lock this the dark point, so you can click and drag it off of it if you want it. Click here, and then we're going to drag this handle up a bit to brighten up, and look what happens, right? You kind of sharpening the curves, and you're sharpening this contrast between the brighter tones and darker tones, and you add a lot of punch to the image. We're going to grab this one and lift the blacks a little bit because I think it's a little bit too dark, but there you go. Then you can adjust it to your liking, and I think we are peachy. And if you compare this to the original image, we're already looking much better. Do you see what I mean? And next thing, what I would do, add some color. You can do it with curves as well if you want to. You can go to curves, switch it here from RGB to blue. You can lift it up and create a bit of a cross-processing effect. And there we go, a bit of yellowish in highlights and bluish in shadows. And we can go to reds and do a similar thing. And there you go, there's your image. And you can pop some logo here on top and you're almost good to go. Next, what I would do, I'd put some vignette. So Shift, Control, Alt, and E. Let's click here to create a stamp visible layer. Go to filters and you can go to camera raw filter, and there should be a vignette somewhere here. Probably somewhere under, yeah, there we go, under effects. You can see here there's a vignette. And you can just put a bit of a vignette, so the focus is going to be pulled inside the image more towards the guns. Yeah, because you don't want edges to be so visible, you want the guns to be visible. Since we have it on a separate layer, we can just fine tune it a little bit to give it a bit of a vignette, don't overdo it. And now you see the focus goes more towards the guns. Then if you want to push it a bit deeper, what you could do is you could go here and go to lookup table, which was, I never remember where it is. I think it's in here somewhere. Color lookup, there we go. And what you want to do is click here and click on one of these, and then you can scroll through them. And it's going to give you different looks. And obviously these are too strong, but what you can do later on, you can readjust them. So let's find something interesting. And this one doesn't look too bad. And what we could do is obviously lower the opacity because this is too strong. And you can create some really cool look to your image. And you see that looks already very interesting. And if you compare it again by holding Alt to the original image, this is a very different story. Now, normally if I do this, I use paid filters. So I use Nik Collection. So if I was, if I were to work on this image, I would be doing this a bit differently. Let me just pull these curves here that fix the background. So let me show you how I would do it personally. I would go to Nik Collection, Color Effects Pro, and I would go with Pro Contrast because it's a fantastic filter and it does exactly what I want it to do. So what you want to do is you want to click on that, and then you got sliders which will allow you to pump contrast very easily with one slider. You can obviously adjust it here, the strength, And you can also, tell Photoshop in which areas you want it, you want it to be focused. You can remove it from certain areas by, running these circles here. We can obviously adjust them as well. So let me just click on that, and we can, come on, we can work with the opacity here, you see. So we can get on neutralize, you can hold Alt and copy to another corner. We'll make it a bit bigger by dragging this slider. And that looks good to me. And then we can add cross-processing filter. Done. You know what I mean? This looks good to me. But you don't want to overcook this. Like this one is a little bit dark. I mean, we're not clipping, because you can see here we're not clipping anything. So these are not pure blacks, but they're close and they really contrast. You see your eyes going to be pulled down. You really don't want that, so you don't want to make it too dark and too punchy. And we could go with this, put some logo here on the top, and you're done. And I'm gonna give you another tip. You see these lines in this image, right? Going across the image is really easy when you have the cutout of the guns. All you need really is curves, right? And then you drop the curves down like this, or you grab this handle here and drop them, drop the tones down. And you want to press Ctrl I to invert the mask to black to conceal it. Then what you want to do, you want to run a very simple pen tool selection here through the image. Let me just zoom out. And you want to select that. So make a selection and you delete it. Let me just press D and delete it. There you go. And then we're going to invert this mask, so Control I. And now all we need to do is remove this gun from it, right? So Control click on a gun and simply delete, and you're done. See, and that's why you want the background separate from the guns, because if you didn't have this, you couldn't do it, right? Then you got some place for a logo, and then we got some bending here. And in order to sort this out, this is caused by us editing pixels, because that's what we do. We're working on pixels now. And when there is a lot of gradual transitions between tones, between values, the kind of a bending can happen. And in order to fix this, you could use another plugin. There's another way of doing this, but I just use plugins because it's faster. It's a one-click deal. I use Topaz Denoise, and boom, it's gone with one click. You see what I mean? So press OK, and my bending is gone. And now I got a clean image to post on my portfolio. And that's how easy it is to create really good images in Photoshop or whatever software you want to use. But you really need to do this in order to make your portfolio shine. And portfolio, a really good one, is going to be an entry point to any job, right? Because that's your business card. And the key is not just to upload one image and think, oh, now I'm going to be getting jobs. No, you need to be consistent, because consistency is one of the most important things if you want to achieve anything in life. And consistent uploads to your portfolio are a key. Let's say you want to be hired by a studio. An art director is going to look at your portfolio and think, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. We want him, right? But in order for them to say that, you need something on your portfolio, not just one model, you need, a bunch of them. And my suggestion to you is to niche down. You really need to focus on whatever you want to do. If it's sci-fi, focus on sci-fi. If it's even narrower, like guns or cars or vehicles or ships, even better, because you will be specializing in one thing. And if someone is looking for a person who specializes in one thing, you're not only going to get hired, but you're also going to get a better salary because you're a specialist. So that's how easy it is to create really decent images. You need some basic decent render, and then you just take it and edit it in Photoshop or whatever software you want to use, and then you post it on your portfolio. You do not want to get lazy at the last most important stage. Let me tell you, rendering is more important than your model, because I can take a cube, a regular cube, and make it look cool in a render. If you have that skill, you can make anything look cool. And the point here is to take your model, which is supposed to be already good or decent, and make it even better, right? Because you can do a lot with good lighting, good framing, good composition. So again, like I told you in the beginning, if you're interested in the whole workflow, go ahead and grab the accelerator course. It's fantastic. It will teach you a ton about not just, creating cool hard surface designs, the tools and UI, but also about principles of design, rendering, composition, framing, lighting, and all that. So go ahead, click the link in the video description and grab the course. If you are a bit more advanced and you want to deepen your knowledge on rendering, then go ahead and grab our Rendering University course. This one is a banger. There are not many courses on this, so it's really difficult to find that knowledge. Also, not many people are knowledgeable enough to sell that knowledge and kind of, provide really good information on how to create good images. It's easily one of our best courses. This course will teach you a lot about, all these topics and how to create fantastic images for your portfolio. And trust me, it's going to help you tremendously. If you're going to ask any professional in the field doing any type of professional work in visual, space, they will tell you the same thing. You need a portfolio to get the juices flowing, because that's how you're gonna get noticed, that's how you're gonna get appreciated, and that's how you're gonna get hired. So anyway, that's it for the video. I hope it's going to help you out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.